February is the first month where, after several months of being able to do nothing but planning and thinking about our gardens, we can actually do something. It's still too cold to grow anything outdoors because the nights are too cold. But if we're ready with equipment and lighting, we can get a head start on spring by starting some of our cool weather plants indoors from seed around Valentine's Day. If you're not ready to start your vegetables from seed just yet, that's absolutely fine. It took me a few years before I was able to plan ahead enough and carve enough time out of my day to make sure I could take care of these indoor vegetables. To start your vegetables from seed indoors, you'll need some equipment and lighting. And if you're pretty new to gardening, I would suggest that you hold off on buying any of this stuff until you get a little further along. I suggest that you keep an eye on what your local garden centers are selling and take your planting cues from them, because they usually won't sell you anything until it's safe for you to plant what they're selling outdoors. As you'll see as you get into gardening a little bit further, some plants prefer cooler weather and hate the heat. Other plants won't grow at all in the cooler weather and need the heat of summer to grow. Some plants can do well under both cool and hot conditions, but there aren't too many of them. So, for the months of February, March, and April, we're going to focus on the plants that grow best in the cooler weather. In a few months, we can turn our focus onto the plants that will thrive in the summer heat. Plants that like cool weather are plants like radishes, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, celery, kale, lettuce, bok choy, spinach, beets, Swiss chard, etc. And lots of these can be started from seed indoors because they can be easily transplanted. Some vegetables don't like to be transplanted. We'll get into those later. So we don't want to plant them indoors just because it'll be a waste of time. Now, if you're not ready to do anything in February, you might want to look around your yard and think about what areas might be best suited to having a garden. Look for areas that get more sunlight. Watch where the snow melts first and where it melts last, because this will tell us about areas in our yards that warm up faster or more slowly in the spring. By watching what's happening, we can learn about something called microclimates, which are very local conditions in our yards that will influence what we can grow and when. Now, if we're just starting out and trying to decide where to put our garden, the path of the sun may help us decide where to locate our garden or what vegetables are likely to grow better under a particular set of conditions. Of course, we also have to pick an area that can be protected from varmints who may try to steal the fruits or vegetables of our labor. Also, if you had a garden last year, think about what grew well and what didn't. Think about whether you want to grow anything new this year. Was there anything that didn't grow well last year or that took up too much space and didn't give you that much in return? Do you want to expand your garden this year? Maybe build a raised bed. February is a great month to plan your garden or get your soil tested if you can get soil samples. And while we still get lots of snow in February, the sun is starting to get a little higher in the sky, which helps the soil warm up. Now, the front of my house has southern exposure, and I've planted some bulbs right in front of the house where they get lots of sun. The combination of southern exposure and the proximity to the front of the house helps the soil warm up faster here than in other parts of my yard or in any of my neighbors' yards. This means that some of the perennial flower bulbs I have planted in front of the house are starting to show themselves in February, giving us hints that longer days and spring flowers are headed our way. Soon enough, we'll see tulips, hyacinths, and daffodils in bloom.